Back in the 1990s, I was an electrician in the film industry, and I've made a show about it called She's Electric, and it's an hour and a half long. And I said I wanted it to only be an hour long, and it's massively over long. And I've still got stories that I wanted to include. So I thought I'd just do you a little story now. I was the only woman. I mean, not to say that there were no other women sparks. And by the time it got to the end of my career, there were definitely women coming through. But for the large part of my career, I was the one and only woman in the whole of the UK. And people were constantly surprised to see me. They were endlessly questioning whether I really wanted to do this, whether I was proper, whether I was serious. And I felt I was on this mission to prove that I was as good as a man. And one of the things that I did to prove myself, even though I didn't enjoy driving and wasn't a really very good driver, I took my HGV license, my heavy goods license, so that I could drive the lighting trucks. This led to some very funny moments, and some people really they just simply couldn't believe that I was a spark and that I was driving the trucks. And I guess there was something quite entertaining about this. Anyway, on this particular day, I was working in the new Leavesden studios. I can't remember what job I was on, but what I do remember is that on the next stage along was something incredibly exciting for me. I tried very hard not to ever get starstruck by the movie stars and the people who I would meet when I was at work, because I thought that it didn't look cool. But on this occasion, I had to make an exception. I was beyond excited to find that in the next studio along, the next soundstage along, Tim Burton was shooting Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp. And I was probably the biggest Tim Burton fan in the whole world. My favourite films ever were Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands. I was so preoccupied with the thought that I might see Tim Burton walking along, that I could be this close to where he was actually creating a new movie. Anyway, I was driving my lorry out of our soundstage into the sort of shared bit between the two stages. And unbelievably, he just walked past. He was so close I could have just leaned out of my lorry window and touched him. I was flabbergasted. But it didn't end there, because he was walking with his aides, helpers, something like that. There was someone on either side of him, and he was just mid-conversation when he looked up, glanced at me, and then he did a double take. Not only had he looked at me, he had noticed me. I was a woman doing a man's job. He had noticed me. Oh my God. He had noticed me. And immediately my mind started thinking, maybe he thinks that's cool. Maybe he thinks that he might see if he could get me on one of the jobs. Maybe he'll get me on all of his jobs. Maybe I'll be like the girl Spark who works on Tim Burton films. Oh my God, this is the most incredible moment of my life. Anyway, I drove as I needed to, took a breath, and I drove out into the yard, the car park outside. And only then did I realise that I had missed something very important. While I had been thinking about Tim Burton, I had failed to notice that somebody had closed the studio door. It was an aluminium roller shutter designed to insulate for sound. And they'd closed it, and I had just driven straight through the closed door. Rather horrified, I turned off the truck, jumped down, looked behind me, and there, sure enough, in this aluminium roller shutter, there was a truck-shaped hole, like something out of a cartoon. I couldn't even pretend that it wasn't me. And they were shooting dialogue with Johnny Depp on that day. And so they had to send him home, and they had to send all the technicians home and all the assistants home and all the aides home and all the runners home, and they lost a whole day of shooting because of me. But I did get to see Tim Burton.